Record. All right, here we have a very strange story, similar a little bit to the story that I told yesterday. I think I told this yesterday. Yeah. Here's a little bit similar. And this story goes like this. It happens in Buenos Aires. The story was written in a weekly page that's handed out. It's already become like 5 pages. They're all put together. Very well done. It's called Sichot HaShavua. I think it's even translated into English. Sichot HaShavua. And there's stories in it. So this story was told by a Chabad lady that heard it from the person it happened to. What was the story? There was a young lady. This is in Brazil. And Buenos Aires is Brazil, right? Anyway, it was in Brazil. So this lady, in Brazil, there's a lot of Jews. There's a lot of Jews in there. Almost all of them are non-religious. And I was in Brazil for a little while. And they say that the people in Brazil are very warm. They're very friendly. Very friendly. It's not like Argentina. Argentina, the people there are very sort of, uptight a little bit. Anyway, but in Brazil, everything's even. So therefore, there's a big problem with intermarriage over there. They almost can't understand, what in the world could possibly be bad. Okay, so this lady, she was engaged to be married to a non-Jew. And they loved each other and they got along and etc. But she heard from someone, and she had like an advertising agency. She ran an advertising agency, this lady. And she was going to get married to this fellow. But somehow or other she heard, or she had it embedded in her memory, that it's not a good thing to be buried for a Jew, to be buried with a non-Jewish burial, right? Like the story I told yesterday. But the story we told yesterday, that was the difference between burial and cremation. This story is different. So somehow or other she got it into her mind. She heard that Jews have to have a Jewish burial. And she got a little bit worried. She's going to marry this guy. If she dies before he dies, then he's going to have her buried in a regular, normal cemetery. And she doesn't want to tell him, I want to be buried in a Jewish cemetery, because she's got officially no Jewish identity. It has nothing to do with anything in her day-to-day life at all. But somehow or other, is creeping in the back of her mind that she, after all, is a Jew and she should have a Jewish burial. Okay, so this is important to her. But she puts it out of her mind because, what do you mean it's what's important? Anyway, the date of her marriage is approaching, and it's like going to be a couple months, and she gets a job advertising in a Chabad house. And this is the lady, the Chabad lady, that tells the story. She says, he gets a job working in this Chabad house. This is a really strange story. So she gets working in this Chabad house. So she becomes very friendly with the lady that's a secretary there. I mean, also she has to interview her, and say what to take pictures, whatever it is get information for the advertisement. So she had to work there for like a week or two, taking pictures or whatever. One day, the lady that was the secretary, she gets a phone call or whatever, and she says, listen, I have to step out for, a half an hour, maybe an hour, but it won't even be an hour. Just do me a favor, please. Just sit here and answer phone calls and just tell everybody, that the secretary is out right now. If you can't take people's names and phones, and they'll call you back. And you don't have to listen to people. You don't have to answer any problems. You don't have to deal with them. You just say, the rabbi I'll make the secretary will be back, and she'll make a meeting for you. She'll arrange a meeting for you with the rabbi. And okay, good. And so she leaves. There comes in a lady and says, all distraught. As soon as this lady leaves, like a couple of minutes afterwards, comes, I have to see the rabbi. I have to see the rabbi, please. I don't know what to do. I'm just going crazy. I have to see the rabbi, please. So this lady says, listen, I'm just taking the place of the secretary. She'll be back soon, but I can take your name and your address. Please give me your name and your address. And, we'll your telephone number. We'll be in touch with you. Or if you want to, you can wait right here until the rabbi can see you, So she said, oh, yes, it's urgent. I just have to know what to do. I'm just going crazy. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. So she says, okay, takes the lady's name down, takes her address, takes her phone number. And the lady says, my problem is so great. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. She said, okay, the rabbi will talk to this. I just have to talk to somebody about this. She said, my name is whatever it is, Maria or something. And I got married to a Jew. And we really loved each other. We've been married for like 50 years. And we really, really got along. And my husband, he passed away. And he asked me when he was sick if I would bury him in a Jewish cemetery. So, I knew my husband was Jewish. It didn't mean anything to me whatsoever. And it didn't really mean anything to him. I mean, you see, he married me. We just had a normal, regular life. And, it was so traumatic to me that he passed away. And he put on this, I'm not very much of an organizer. The lady said, I'm just a simple, normal woman. I didn't know what a Jewish burial is. I'm running around, have to run around and look for a Jew. I didn't know there was even such a thing. I didn't know what he was talking about. So anyway, in all of the confusion and all of the mourning and all of this, so I just had him buried in a regular place because I also wanted to be buried next to him. And when I died, so I buried him in a regular cemetery. But he's been coming to me in dreams, my husband. And he says that he's suffering because he's not buried in a Jewish burial. Please, I should bury him in a Jewish burial, in a Jewish cemetery. And I don't know what to do. And I don't know any Jews. I don't know what to, so I figured I would come in and I would ask the rabbi, what I can do. So this lady said, listen, I'm not the secretary, but I'll go into the rabbi and I'll ask him if he can see you now. I said, oh, would you do that? Thank you so much, so much. So she went into the rabbi and she explained the whole thing. And this lady, and the rabbi said, okay, I'm really busy with something now, but okay, if it's really urgent, let the lady come in. So she went out and she said to the lady, you can come in, and the lady wasn't there. She had just been by the rabbi for 5 minutes at the most, 3 minutes. Lady wasn't there. So she ran out into the hall, looked for the lady. No, listened. Maybe the lady's going down the steps. Looked out the window. The lady didn't come out the front door. How could she? What happened? And so she waited a little while, and she, there was a name. Lady left her name, left her address, left her telephone number. So she waited a little while. She figured maybe the lady would come back. Maybe she went into the bathroom. So she didn't come back. She told the secretary. When the secretary came back, she told her the whole story. She says, well, let's call up the number. Let's see what happens. Maybe there's somebody else there. Maybe she has a daughter, maybe a son. Call up the number. Number doesn't work. Not the number. It's a wrong number. There's no number like that. I said, okay, maybe she made a mistake, and then let's look at her name. So they called information, says we have no name like that. There's no name. And the address was also not correct. So she said, I didn't. It was so strange. The lady just disappeared into nowhere. I said, but suddenly I started to think, 1 second, I'm going to get married to this guy, and I'm going to have the same problem. He's going to bury me in a normal grave. Maybe I'm going to have the same problem as she did. So she called off the wedding. She called off the wedding to this person. Bizarre story. He says the story is strange but true. So take it for whatever it's understood, but a Jew is a Jew, and not only a Jewish soul, his personality or whatever is different, but his body is different. A different body. And that's the whole thing that's going to bring to the raising of the dead. It seems that there's also non-Jews that are going to raise the dead, but it's only because of the Jews. The Jews are God's people. And just like God has to be honored according to the Torah, the Jews have to be honored according to the Torah. Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, God willing, tomorrow, 8:15, we'll continue. Yeah, I'll just end.
Thank you.
One.